Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Friz. I'm an electronic music producer, DJ, and I run Open Doors Entertainment, a music television company. I have a few releases on StoryTime. Big shout out to StoryTime and everything that this label is doing for creatives around the world. I really love working with everyone on the team, and I'm just going to dive right into it in this production tutorial for my track Secrets, where I'll be sharing a few of my favorite production tips with you all, and I hope that this can help in some way, shape, or form. So we'll go right into it. This is one of my upcoming tracks. So that's the idea. I would play the whole thing, but it's not out yet, so you'll hear it next spring. A big tip, one of the greatest pieces of knowledge and advice I got from one of my mentors, Xander, he goes by Traveler, is sample selection. Sample selection is so important, and picking the most quality samples right off the bat, ones that sound really good, is always going to sound way better than trying to take a sample that sounds all degraded and poor quality and trying to make it sound better and up the quality of that. So always pick really good samples. One of the biggest pieces of positive feedback I receive from people on my music is about my kicks, and people often say they sound very clean and punchy, and I receive that a lot, and I'm saying that because I very often don't even put any processing on my kicks. You can see here that there's no processing, there's no effects that are on. It's just a clean sample that I really like the sound of. There's so many samples out there these days, and people have spent hours and hours tweaking these kicks and different drum samples, and often they'll sound really great as is. And if you pay fine attention to your sample selection, your tracks are going to sound a lot better and come out a lot cleaner. Obviously, there's times where you can go crazy on the processing when you're trying to get this certain sound, especially with effects and stuff, but in general I found that some of the best songs have very minimal processing. My second tip number 2, has to do with collaboration, and I think this is a really important point to get across. Just in general, collaborating is gonna make you much better much quicker, and you'll find your skills accelerating much faster than if you're just sitting alone and always working on your own music. Take whatever opportunity you can to work with others and work with people who are better than you and more skilled, and you'll see different production techniques where you're like, oh wow, that's cool, I can implement that in my own music. And even people who are just beginning, when you work with someone who is fresh onto Ableton or whatever production DAW they're using, you can still learn tips and tricks from people no matter how advanced you are. So collaboration, I found for myself, has made me advance far quicker than any other thing that I've done or any other time that I've spent just alone in a studio working on my tracks. And with this, it's called a collaboration for a reason. When you're working with someone, you're working together. It's not that your idea is better than theirs or their idea is better than yours. You're on a team. You're working together to make the best possible song, and give other people's ideas a chance. Don't shut down every idea. See people's ideas out, let them do their thing, and then see where it goes from there, and then make a decision based off of where the song is. The word no can be the most poisonous word in a collaboration. So along the lines with collaborations, feedback is really important too. Seek out people who will give feedback on your track, whose opinion you respect, and who you know will give transparent feedback. It's important to give transparent feedback to other people as well if they're asking it. But know the situation. If someone's track's finished and they already uploaded it for distribution, and you're picking out these tiny mix things and they're not asking for that, then that might not be the best time to give feedback. But if someone's asking, hey, can you let me know what you think of this track, that might be a good time to be transparent and be like, hey, I love this track, but the snare could maybe be a tiny bit punchier. A good technique for giving feedback is the compliment sandwich technique. So start off with a positive piece of feedback, like, yo, that bass was slapping, it sounds awesome. Then you can implement your critical feedback, like, your bass is sounding really good. I think making your snare a little snappier and pop out more will emphasize that bass even more. But in general, the track sounds really good. I love the drums. I love the way the song flows. And so you sandwich that feedback with two positive pieces of feedback on the track, and that's going to make people a lot more likely to take your feedback seriously. So another tip that I have is saturation. Saturation is huge. If you haven't seen on Ableton, the saturator, you can do Command F, saturator, or it's audio effects right here. Saturator, you bring that in, and what a saturator does is it colors the sound. So it takes all these peaks and valleys and brings them closer together and fills in the frequency spectrum. And I'll show you what I mean. This is the bass in this song. This is, I'll A and B the saturator for you all so you can hear it with and without this saturator plugin. And I have the output turned down so it's gain stage, so there's no volume difference, but you can hear how much perceived loudness and how much louder the bass sounds. And with saturation, when you drag one in, let's drag one in there, turn this one off, it'll sound the exact same. But there's these different color modes, and two color modes that I use a ton are soft sine and medium curve. So let's see how those sound. And then you can increase the drive. And turn down the volume to match the volume it was at before. That's called gain staging. Then you can compare. So saturation works not only on basses, it really works on all elements in a track. And when you feel that something feels like it needs to be more full in the mix, saturation is usually a great go-to to try out, and it'll give your song a lot more color, a lot more life, and it'll fill out the entire frequency spectrum a lot more. So saturation is huge for production. One more tip that I have for this tutorial I'd like to walk through that I do in almost all my songs is putting in atmospheres in the background. So I'll show you what I mean. In this song, there's this playing in the background almost the whole track. And so I have a train atmosphere and a subway atmosphere in the song, and they're super low in the mix. You can barely hear it, but adding in different atmospheres is hugely beneficial, and it gives a lot of feeling to the song. It makes it feel more real. So I'll take it out, listen for this subway in the background, this subway noise, and I'll A and B it once more and hear how much more life there is when the samples are turned on, and notice the contrast when they're turned off. So it's super subtle, you can barely hear it, but it gives so much life to the song. And what I mean by this is that it makes it feel more real, in a sense where the song's secrets, it has kind of a longing feel to it and a sense of unknownness. And when picking the atmosphere that I'm going to put in a song, I'll try and feel out what the song is trying to say and what it's trying to tell. And so in this instance, it's that sense of unknownness and traveling. And to reflect that, I ask myself, where would I feel these emotions? And so I'd feel these maybe in a train station in Europe while I'm waiting to depart on and travel by myself. So I put in subway sounds to reflect that. If I'm making something where it's very freeing and has these elevated emotions, I'll put in bird sounds and forest sounds subtly in the background, which give the feel of being in a forest, and it's very subliminal. So that's really big as well. You can go to freesounds.org, I believe, freesounds.org. I go there a ton to get samples for sounds like this. It's like a huge library of free sounds that people upload different sounds where they record it themselves. So it's great for atmospheres and stuff like that. So that's my production tutorial and a few tips. I'm available for any questions at Friz Official, Friz Official. You can hit me up on any socials anytime. I'm always willing to help. I'll always respond. And thanks for listening. I hope that this helped and helps you on your production journey. And big shout out to StoryTime. Thanks a ton for just being a great group to work with. And look out for the releases coming out on that label, because they're consistently putting out some heat. My name is Friz. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you around. Peace.